Alright, Outlaw Radio Live fans, we are live with the legendary CPO Boss Hogg. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey man, you are most certainly welcome. I gotta thank you. I've been a fan of your work for a very long time, so it is an absolute honor and a blessing just for you to even grace me with your time, man. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Hey, you are most certainly welcome. So I know I this is what I got to start the interview off with. What made you decide to get into the music industry?
um, because my brother Boki, who taught me how to rap, my homeboy Grant Moten, who most people know as Chip, the Victor Felon, and MC Ren, who then was just Lorenzo Patterson, used to rap on the corner every single night. And I used to bust up laughing. I'm like, get a real job, you know. And one day, I happened to roll up on him, and Ren was standing out in front, and he was like, "Hey, we just finished the album. You want to hear it?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay. I'm not doing nothing." So I listened to the album. He played a whole tape for me, a whole cassette tape, and it was nice. I was like, that's tight. I was like, "What's the album called?" He said, "Straight Outta Compton." And I was like, "Ooh, that's funky." And the next thing I knew, you know, me telling somebody to get a job was funny. You know, it was blown up. I was like, "Ooh, that would be something to try." But, you know, really seriously, as much as I liked hip hop, there was no way in the world I thought I would ever be able to. I didn't know how to rap. I had no idea how to rap, and you know, so. But that was what sparked me to really want to. I mean, I always liked hip hop, but when you hear somebody you know and growing up doing it, and then they blow way up, you're like, that's something to think about.
And I have to ask this when you because you just said that you're like MC Ran pretty much got you into music with Straight Outta Compton. When you listen to that whole record, what song really stood out to you?
You mean from them or just period?
When you heard Straight Outta Compton, when MC Ran played the whole tape for you, like do you remember what song actually stood out for you the most?
I, of course. I don't know if I can say the name of it.
Oh no, honestly, it's uncensored, so I probably know which one you're gonna say. You uncensored, you say whatever you like.
Oh, fuck the police.
Honestly, that's my favorite track from that album. So like, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, that was too easy. I mean, you know, we got harassed on a daily basis, so that was the most really. And I think at the time when I heard it, I knew everybody in the hood was gonna like, oh hell yeah, we love that. But I didn't realize that police were so shitty everywhere. Excuse the expression that so many people around the world would relate to that. I had no idea it was gonna blow up to that degree, but yeah, that was my favorite.
And also, honestly, I gotta ask this. So when you just mentioned you were discovered by MC Random, how did you and Random initially meet in the first place? Like, what's the story behind that?
Oh man, we all grew up in the same neighborhood together. I mean, we live like blocks from each other. We've been around each other for long before we ever heard rap. You know, I went to school with his brother. I was just enamored by his sister, and I was at his house all the time because I was hanging out with his brother Charles, and so I saw Ren every single day, all the time. And then, then when we were younger, I used to teach like martial arts, and Ren was one of my students. So, you know, I used to have him in the backyard doing martial arts, jumping off the roof with their eyes closed, all kind of stuff. So I've been on Ren, you know, years, and then, you know, they got into doing music and that kind of. I mean, you know, around here, a lot of people were into entertainment anyway. We had a lot of different people in popping groups and stuff like that. So, you know, the natural progression was into music and DJing. That's how Drake, you know, started DJ singing. So it just all kind of started years and years ago.
That's crazy, man. When you brought up MC Ran blindfolded jumping off roofs, I don't know why, but I cannot picture him doing that.
Now he wasn't blindfolded, but you had to jump off the roof with your eyes closed. You couldn't open your eyes until you hit the ground. I know he hates but you know, but that's the stuff we used to do. I was, you know, we literally always into something.
So just like the song, man, always into something. But I have to ask him. I know it's a little off script, but since we're on the topic of MC Ran, like, you know, he was one of the hardest motherfuckers in that group, man. He was one of the hardest MCs in NWA, and I have to ask, what was he like outside of the group, like behind the cameras?
Ren is cool, very cool, very jokus, but very serious. You know, about when he's serious about something, he's serious about it. I mean, he's a real G. You know, but probably one of the worst people in the world you want to work in a studio with. Oh my God.
The only reason why I was asking was because I've interviewed a few people that knew Eazy-E, and with the way the media and like the way his lyrics was, people like portrayed him like behind the cameras. He was such a different person, like nice, caring guy. That's why I just wanted to ask, because I'm a huge MC Ran fan myself. So I figured I had the opportunity, might as well jump on it.
Ren is he's a normal guy, but I mean, he's like every other G in the hood. I mean, you know, it's cool when it's cool, and when it's, you know, I mean, he's not. I'm pretty sure they got all these studio gangsters and everything now. Ren is not one of those.
Oh, you can easily tell. You can easily tell he's not. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. That's real.
So also in the year 1990, you released your debut album called To Hell in Black. What's the story behind that iconic record?
The album itself?
Like the album itself. Like, how did that album initially come to be?
Me really wanted. A buddy of mine and I were, you know, people in the whole scene, everybody in the hood. I mean, you know, you had so many people in the Compton coming out. You had, you know, Toddy T and King T, and you know, CMW, NWA. Dr. Dre was already out doing, you know, his thing, Eazy. And so it kind of makes you want to, you know, if these cats I know can do it, maybe I can too. But so we would practice every single day trying to learn how to rap, and nothing worked. Nothing. And so eventually he got tired of it. He didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, dude, I cannot do this without you. And he was like, you're going to have to. And he was laughing, and I was thinking, okay, my hopes just dashed, my dreams just, you know, ended. And so I went home and thought about it for a while. I said, well, you know, I forgot my brother knows how to rap. And so I asked him how, to teach me how, and he said, cool. And I must have been trying for maybe 2 weeks. And one day I'm sitting here watching television, and Ren stepped in the door. I mean, I thought they were on tour, and they were, but I guess they had come off for a minute. And just by chance, he ran into my brother in the street somewhere. And my brother said, you'll never guess this rapper now. He said, who? And he said, Ren. She said, you lying? He said, no. And he came through, and Ren was like, man, your brother told me you know how to rap, man. Let me hear you. You know, maybe your demo. No, I would not let him hear it, but eventually I let him hear it. He must have listened for maybe a verse, and the next thing I know, he grabbed me by my collar and said, let's go. And we took me straight to the studio at Young D's house in Carson, and they took the song that he was listening to, because I had written this song called Something Like This, and I wrote it to DOC's Funky Enough. And so it was kind of a slow song. And when Ren heard it, Ren took it over there, and they did this new track, and he said, okay, go in the booth and rap what you just rapped to this track. I said, oh, man, that's too fast. I can't do that. And he was like, yes, you can. And we were there a minute, you know. But when we were done, that's the song they had. And Ren turned to me and he said, listen, I'm going to sign you to my new label. And I'm thinking, oh, no, wait. I don't even know how to rap yet. And I just wrote that song and one other one. You talking about signing the label? Oh, he was like, blah, 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 going to pay you this, pay you that. Okay, that's all right. So, you know, and now I had 8 more songs to write, and I didn't know how to write nada. And he would keep coming with these tracks, and the first track he gave me to write to, he said, listen, I got this track by Isaac Hayes, I want you to write to it. I said, okay, what is it? And he slid me the track, and it was the track to Ballad of a Menace. And I wrote that. Don't know how, I really don't, but I eked it out some kind of way, and thing with Ren is, it's not just writing. So I had like 3 songs I needed to write every day, because every day we were going to be in the studio. And you don't just have to write the songs. You have to write them with lyrics and deliver it the way, you know, it sounds cool to Ren. It's not just, you're going to write these songs and drop in here. And so, you know, I went through this really quick training, learning how to rap, learning how to write, learning what you can say, what you can't say, what works, what doesn't work. In like no time, I had literally no time to learn all this stuff. And, you know, finally we finished 10 songs. And I mean, Ren was just about, you know, getting his business initiated and getting an artist out there. And it really literally all kind of happened at like lightning speed. You know, there was no plan in it prior to that. He might have had you know, an ultimate plan, but for me, it just happened out of the blue.
And you know, that's crazy, man. That album is so iconic today, man. It's just was honestly one of my favorites by you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You know, I was just thinking about when it first came about. You kind of have daydreams when you're writing songs, like, wow, wouldn't it be interesting one day if somebody read these same lyrics that I'm writing back to me, actually know them. And I thought that was just the funniest thing to think of. And then now, 30 years later, I hear them all the time, and it's just, I laugh every time I do. So it's weird.
It's actually good though, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds bad to say, but not a lot of artists really, like, their first project never really gets noticed, you know? It's actually pretty cool to actually just know that your very first project, you know, that actually made you, and you're still hearing it 30 years today, man. That's actually pretty extraordinary.
It's actually really, I'm really grateful about that. I think that people think that I'm weird when I say what my favorite part about having done all this is. My favorite part about having done this is the fact that, like, for instance, my daughter when she first did it, she said, "Hey, Dad, I can Google you." And I thought that was really cool. You know, the fact that to be in this industry amongst people that I really, really respect. But the other side of that, and I'm a fan of, but the other side of that is the people that I get to meet as a result. You know, people from all over, literally. That's been the coolest thing to me. So it's the nostalgia of it versus the whole fortune fame thing. That's not, the fortune fame thing literally comes and goes. Trust me. But the acknowledgement of it and the appreciation of it, that's what lasts.
So do you own, like, I'm sorry for asking this, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. I was just wondering, do you own, like, your own masters and whatnot?
My masters of things I do now, yes. My masters of things I did back then, no.
It's pretty unfortunate, truthfully. I don't understand why individuals, you know what I mean, in the other, sorry, like, music executives, they can't give credit to people that did the work. You should be able to have your own rights to your own music.
Oh, I absolutely agree. It's right now. Well, you know, back then, in the 90s, you literally weren't up on these kinds of things, and it's really unfortunate because it's kind of like getting a sickness and knowing when you're getting it, you know what to look for, what not to eat. If you're allergic to something, for instance, you know what not to eat after it's happened to you. Well, in this business, you know what not to do after you get screwed over. So, you know, no one's there to tell you beforehand, don't sign this, don't do that, don't, you know, give your matches away, blah, 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 blah. But then again, at that point in time, you didn't have outlets like, you know, the internet. You had word of mouth, which is still big, and, you know, you sold yourself out of the truck or whatever else. But, you know, a lot of people who have nothing, people rolling around with things like GR or no money at all or whatever they can do to try to make paper. If somebody walks up to you and says, look, I'm going to give you $30,000, put an album out, sign here, you're going to do that. Nowadays, it's like, you know, I can make $30,000, you know, selling my stuff on my own, you know, website. Of course, that's the progression of things. So, you know, we didn't have that option then. Now we do. I would suggest that no one sign anything with anybody. Now you don't have to, because now you realize that your product is basically like dope. I'll put it in that perspective. or anything else that anyone would want. It doesn't have to be dope. I know that's kind of weird. But the thing is, you have a product someone wants. They're coming to you and saying, hey, I'll do blah, 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 blah for you. That means you're in control, not them. And they're going to say, well, we can give this to you, we can give it to somebody else, we'll give this to somebody else. If you believe enough in your own product, if they want to come to you and say, hey, we can do all these things, the things you can also do on your own, but what you can sit there and do now is negotiate from the strength of your own product if you believe in it. And then, of course, nowadays, damn near anything sells, so.
And that's true, man. That really is. That's some really great advice. So after NWA disbanded, you signed with Death Row Records. How did that deal come to be, and how did you get hooked up with Marion Suge Knight?
Well, it actually started at Rufus. I was after we did the first album. Eazy asked me one day. He said, you should let me and Dre do your next album. And I said, oh, I'm cool with that, but you need to ask Ren, because in my perspective, I wouldn't have been in that position had Ren not put me there. So my loyalty was more to him. And so he said, okay, cool. Before that all took place, I got really despondent with what was not happening with Capitol. They weren't doing the things I wanted them to do, what they should be doing to promote the album. And I shook. I shook them, and eventually left Ren. And then I got invited again from Eazy to go and sign directly to Ruthless. But at the same time, I got invited to Death Row from Dre. And so one day I went to the studio with Dre. He let me listen to Gin and Juice. Nobody had heard it yet. The public hasn't heard it yet. And it was me and my play sister Michelle. And I was like, we looked at each other like, whoo. Like that was super funky. It put G thing, like, we didn't think anything was going to come out of the G thing. When we heard Gin and Juice, we were like this, oh yeah. And then when we left the studio with him, we drove over to Audio Achievements with Eazy, because he invited me to the studio the same day. And with him, I heard Real Compton City G's. I liked Real Compton City G's, I did. But to me, I feel that Dre track with Snoop on it, I was like, I'm going to sign with Death Row. Because it was two things. One, it was difficult to sign with either one of those two because both of them were friends with Ren. So that was a little peculiar. But I knew I didn't want to sign directly to Eazy, having Ren also sign directly to Eazy like that. I thought that was a little, kind of like leaving your homie and jumping with your other homie. At least Dre was distant. He wasn't with the company anymore. So, but yeah, as far as Suge is concerned, Ren actually introduced me to Suge on the This Be the Spunky video shoot. That's when I first met Suge. And it's interesting because he pulled me to the side and he said, you know what, they got you over here flying around in videos and throwing donuts and shit at you. He had me looking like, wow, he's kind of party. And he said, they got you doing funny shit. He said, you see, they're not letting you do your gangster shit. He said, because they don't need no more gangsters. They already got gangsters. They already got NWA. They don't need to do. And that stuck in my head. And then later on, maybe he was planting the seed for me. It's like the NBA shit. They kind of recruit you like that. But he had a point. And not to mention the fact, Jerry Heller wasn't that interested. He already had JJ Bad. He already had Eazy. He already had DOC. He already had, by that time, Above the Law. And so no, I needed to venture out. And the way I looked at it, everything that was coming out of Death Row was going multi-platinum. So my plan to go to Death Row was I didn't even plan to go to Death Row to put an album out. That's, to be honest with you. My reasoning for going to Death Row was they're huge. Their product is way tight. Literally multi-platinum. It's got Dre and Snoop and RBX, my guy RBX, Rage, everybody. The whole new thing was just big. The Dog Pound. And so I saw that as an opportunity. I'm going to go over here and jump on maybe 2, maximum 3 multi-platinum albums, and shake, and be, have my credibility more fortified for dealing with that kind of music. You know what I mean? And so I really never planned to put an album out with them. And consequently, fate seemed to arrange itself in such a way that it happened just the way I wanted. I bounced on to the eulogy. First, Above the Rim, because Dre invited me to jump on that. I was very grateful for that. After that, Suge was like, hey, make sure he signs. I was like, yeah, it's fine, okay. I mean, I literally went there for that, and so, and then, after Above the Rim, we did Murder with Case thing, and after that, I left. But when I was gone, well, I hadn't left. I was really contemplating leaving, but I never came to the studio. I could never get any studio time. It was a lot of BS going on in Death Row, and I was like, you know what? Here I am sitting here doing nothing, signed to one of the biggest independent labels out there. They're basically shelving me. Nothing's cracking. I'm out. And then one day I just happened to call the studio, and of all people, Tupac was here. And that's how we ended up doing All Eyes on Me, Picture Me Rollin'. And after that, I mean, like I said, I was already out. After that, I had no reason. I'm like, peace, that's my 3, I'm gone.
And I have to ask, going back a little bit, when you mentioned Above the Rim soundtrack, that was actually next on my list. Could you give us a little bit more of an insight on that project? What was it like really doing that?
My song or the project itself?
Just like your song and the project itself.
Well, the project itself was, for me, it was phenomenal. I mean, to be able to come, basically, after this little hiatus between To Hell and Black and really doing that. Well, I think the last thing by that time I had done was probably Niggas for Life. But I think I may have done Return to the Regulator by then. I think. Can't remember. I can't remember the years right now. But, what happened was, how the heck did that thing come out when we jumped on that album? Oh, I remember. I was at Gladstone's one day, me and my big sister Michelle, and we just went to eat, and we were waiting for somebody here. And so I'm standing in the door frame, and she's standing right behind me outside. Like, when the door's open, you're standing out kind of outside the restaurant. And so she said, Vince, you are never going to believe who's sitting to my left. And I said, who? And she said, Dre. I see Dre, I see DLC, blah, blah, blah. I said, you lying. She said, don't step back, just reach your head back and look to the left and see him. And so I reached my head back and looked to the left, and as soon as I seen him, he saw me. And he said, Gladys! This is his name to me back then. And so I said, well, I'll be down. And he said, hey, come here. So I go over there, we're sitting, we're talking. And he said, I told him I'm not with Capitol anymore. I left, Capitol and Rance Records. And so he said, well, look, I got a project I'm working on right now for the soundtrack for this movie. So look, come down tomorrow to the studio and jump on it. And I said, oh, shit, yeah. So, he said, I'll do the track and everything. So I was just like, bright and early. Ain't missing a Dre track. And so when I got down there, he pulled me to the side and said, listen, I don't have time to do this track because I got to hurry up and finish this, but I want to make sure you get on it. So I'm going to hook you with one guy, DJ Jam. And so I was with Jam. Jam was going to do a track for me. And it ended up being this other cat whose name I shall not mention, doing the track. And that's how I ended up getting on the thing. That's the reason when Suge found out that I was going to be on the album, he said, oh, hell yeah. Make sure he signs. And I was like, it didn't bother me. I'm cool with that. But yeah, I had a ball down there getting that done. I mean, to have everybody in-house roughly at the same time, everybody's chilling in the studio and everybody getting the project done, writing together, chilling together. That's when I was really becoming part of like the Death Row family, and I was cool with that because, like I said, they were hugely successful, And I was just really kind of, for me, it was really, you have to understand that it's now that, even then, I realized the privilege of having friends who just happen to be ran Eazy and Dre. So, to have grown up with those people and the clout that they had really afforded me a lot of things that I'm extremely grateful of now. So.
And speaking of another project that you brought up briefly, you worked with the late great Tupac Amaru Shakur and appeared on his All Eyes on Me record with the song "Picture Me Rollin'." What was it like working with Tupac? And initially, what was he like in the studio? Like, what was he like behind the mic?
He's a freaking workaholic. Here's the thing about Pac. For what anyone may think about him, I really couldn't say. What I can say is he's extremely down to earth, very, very, very hospitable. I mean, like quiet hospitable. Because what happened was the first time I met him at the BRE Black Radio Expo. It was me and again my place is Michelle, and we were like, he walked into a ballroom where they were dancing and everything, and the room was kind of dark, and it was a really long room, and so we're standing near the stage area. You can't really see us because we're like more in silhouettes. And when he walked in, the light from the hall hit him, and it was easy to see it was Tupac. And he started walking in our direction. And we said, "Wow, he's walking over here. Wow." But not toward us, just over there. And so then it looked like he was making like a beeline for me. And I said, "Does it look like to you he's walking over here?" And she said, "Yeah." We said, "Well, let's move." So we moved to the left. When we moved, he moved. I said, "Oh, no. Move back to the right." And when we moved, he moved again. He was walking up to me. And, "Man, what's up, man? Blah, blah, blah." But keep in mind, I've never met this man, right? And so he started talking to me every day. He knew who I was. And when he walked away, I said, "Tupac knows who I am." She said, "Why you get so excited when people do that?" He says, "Of course he knows you are. You got an album out. You got videos." I said, "Yeah, but man, that's Tupac." And so it's freaky when I think about the fact that even prior to having done Picture Me Rollin', I forget that Tupac was also the star above the rim, or at least one of them. So what happened was I got laid off from my job, and the day I got laid off, the day before I got laid off, I was riding around thinking to myself, here I am signed death row. I'm shelved. I get laid off from my job tomorrow. What's up with that? And while I'm doing all this contemplating, they're playing Tupac songs on the radio. They played like 3 in a row. And I remember thinking, it reminded me when I met him that day, and I said, "Man, I wish I could do a song with him." That was my last thought. Next day I get laid off. I'm sitting at home, pissed off, and 2 of my homies, my guy Michael Parks and this other cat, we're sitting there talking, and I said, "You know what, man? I feel so worthless right now. I mean, I'm signed to a label that's not doing nothing. I just lost my job. It's a boo-boo." And so I said, "I'm going to call the studio and see who's there." I said, just to talk to somebody that's actually involved in something and doing something. And so I picked up the phone, called the studio, Cat answered his phone, and I said, "What's up, man?" He said, "What's up, CPO?" I said, "Hey, who's in today?" And he said, "Pac." And I said, "Pac? Tupac?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Tupac's in jail." Because everybody thought he was in jail. And he was. And he said, "No, Suge went and got him out. He's been here all weekend, but nobody knows." I said, "Okay, that's too much of a coincidence." I said, "Put him on the phone." He said, "Okay." And a few seconds later, Pac picked up, easily hearing his voice all day. And I said, "What's up, Pac?" He said, "What's up? Who's this?" I said, "CPO." He said, "What's up, CPO?" I said, "I had a vision." He said, "What was it?" I said, "Do a song with Tupac." He said, "I do one with you, you do one with me." I said, "Cool, we gotta do that." He said, "Nigga, I'm here now." And I understand you wasn't supposed to say that. You were supposed to say, "Oh, yeah, cool." But he didn't do that. And I said, and he said, "You coming?" How do you tell Pac, no, you ain't coming after you just said you had a vision. So I said, I'll be up there. And I hung the phone up, and the homies looked at me and said, dude, we just talking to him. I said, yeah, get the papers. We out. He wants to come to the studio. And we shook, and we did Me Rollin. And he was really, really cool. I mean, it was me, him, Syke, Danny Boy. It was a whole lot of us there. Michelle A was there. And it was like this whole atmosphere. I'm walking around with, well, I won't tell you. But it was a very fun atmosphere, very party-like. And but he was about his business. And the thing that freaked me out the most about him was he was smoking cigarette after cigarette after cigarette, like he was going out. Damn, he smokes like a 70. But he was very cool, very attentive, and worked with me like we had been working together forever. He was just that accepting. And he finished his part like in way quick. And then Syke did his part. I am sitting up here literally below. I will say that. And so I went over to him and I said, listen, I got an idea. He said, what? I said, look, I'm going to say this, and this. Then I want you to come in and say something. And then I'm going to come in and get after you. Because I didn't just want to be on Tupac's album. I wanted he and I to do a verse together too. And he said, cool. And that's why you hear the way it comes out where, you hear my verse and you hear him come in talking to me and then I go back out. That's the reason it's like that. So
that's crazy.
But yeah, I was.
Oh, sorry about that.
Huh?
I was gonna say it was crazy that nobody knew he was out of jail. Like someone like Tupac, he's a superstar, man. Like wouldn't the media actually like find out that he's out due to records and whatnot?
I have no idea. All I knew is I didn't even know he was. I had no idea he was out. I had no idea him and Jill were talking, any of that. I found out he was out because he invited me to the studio again.
That's crazy, though. You know what I mean? It must have been one hell of a great surprise for you.
Yeah. Well, it was here's the weird part about that is, you see how coincidentally that how unplanned and coincidental that whole day was. But strangely enough, nowadays that one song is probably a song that I did not think he would use, because he was recording literally hundreds of songs, and in that time, what you do is you record a whole lot of songs, and then you pick from your best ones and use those in an album. But no one knew that, or maybe he did, that he was doing a double album, and every song he recorded, he used them all, or at least most of them. And I just knew mine was going to end up on. I really just thought he was being polite, which for me was fantastic because I just got laid off that day. So for me to go from the morning of being laid off to an evening of, we just spent the day with Tupac, that was way fun, Yeah. I couldn't have cared less if he got rid of it. I actually expected him not to use the song. So when it showed up on there, that was just freaky. I didn't think he would use it.
Hey, well, you know what? That song actually, I'm gonna be honest with you, is like it's about going on about 23 years since that album dropped, and that song is still relevant today. People are still bumping that in their car, so that's must be pretty amazing feeling.
That's pretty freaky. That's freaky to me. I'm telling you, I did the song. There's songs that I've done. Almost every song that I've done, almost every project I've ever done, has been an accident. That was like an accident,
Yeah.
So for that accident to make it all the way 30 years later, and people still be cool with it. I mean, it's literally how I probably am known. I think it's what I'm known mostly for, which is really interesting, but very cool. I think people always say, well, why didn't you do more albums, and why didn't you work with more people? I'll put it this way. The way I look at it, the quality of artists that I've had an opportunity to work with and producers that I've had an opportunity to work with kind of, for me, at least balances out, if not for me, supersedes the quantity of them. So the fact that I've had a chance to work with, all the people that I've ever had a chance to work with, Warren G and the Dog Pound and Snoop and, NWA, Hogg, everybody. It's the names that you hear me mentioning are iconic names. and they all invited me, so that really means a lot to me. You know, it's fantastic. I mean, lack of a better word.
And I got to say this quickly before we move on to the next topic. When you brought up "Picture Me Rollin'," the very first time I got behind a wheel of a car, that is the song that I was blasting through the car speakers. "Picture Me Rollin'." I had to bring that up because I think that is a perfect driving song, just to cruise down the strip of your hometown, show off your wheels.
Well, Pac was to know that because he showed it. When people asked me what the song was, when I told them I done a song with Pac, they said, "What's it?" I said, "I don't know. I think it might be called Picture Me Rollin'." I said, "That's what Pac kept saying, so maybe that's what it's called." But yeah, you're right. He must have known that because it is a perfect Rolling song. It really is.
So you also made a guest appearance on the East Side's self-titled album on the song called "Big Bang Theory." What was it like working with East Siders, and how did you guys initially get connected?
Oh man, that album that's you know what I guess I would say that I don't really have a favorite standout project. They're all kind of equal on the favorite list, and that's one of them because I got a chance to work on basically a new project with the East Siders. My two of my favorite rappers, literally, especially from the West Coast, Goldie and Trey Day. Period. They are the most real and authentic sounding gangsters because they both really are, you know. And so, on top of that, they're both funky. I mean, they have very distinctive styles, distinctive voices. Something that so many people nowadays need to learn about, being distinctive and not sound like everybody else. But they had. I mean, when they put that project together, the two of them with Snoop, the whole East Side, that was just huge to me. And so I had been wanting to work with Snoop for years anyway. And so I'm sitting at the studio one day. It was me and my homeboy Salty Red down the street. He's always, well not always, but very often where Snoop is. So I was with him that day. We just happened to go to the studio and chill. And Snoop walked in and said, "CPO, you want to jump on this album?" And I was like, you have to say it cool, like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, man, for sure, definitely." But inside, I was like, "Nigga, what? Nigga, where's the pen? Give me a pen. Get a pen." So, I was like, did he just ask me that? So it was crazy because it was me, my boy Big Truck, rest in peace, and Trey D, an engineer. We're the only ones in the studio. And Trey D's got to be one of the most best motivating people to work with because we're both walking by the board, passing the blizzard between each other, and he's like hyping me up, pumping me up. It's like if you were in a gym and he was the weight coach, he was like, had me in go. And then being on the track with him, okay, so it's me, it's him, it's Corrupt, whom I freaking love, it's Exhibit, who I'm like, I love Exhibit, and my homegirl Pinky, who was on there. We call her Little G, but everybody else calls her Pinky. But for us to have that whole dynamic, and Snoop was on the song too, and then Warren did the track, and I was like, yeah, that's who I was there with, Warren. So anyway, I was like, I didn't want to not do well on the track, but when I heard it, I hated it. But then again, I hate everything I do, and so but I hated it so much, I told my boy Salty, I said, "Hey, tell Snoop when you see him, and tell Warren when you see him, take me off that track. I sound like shit, And he shook his head, no. I said, "No, I'm serious, dude. Tell him to take it off. I hate the way I sound." And he said, "It's too late." I said, "What do you mean it's too late?" He said, "Nigga, the song came on." He said, "The song came on in the studio the other day. Your part comes in. Everybody knows your part." I said, "Oh my God!" Which really made me like, really, because I was not happy because it sucks to me. It still sucks to me. So we're out at Snoop's house one day. When Snoop used to have these parties, he would have them. It would start earlier in the day. at his house one day, and it's a gang of people there. I'm sitting at the table, I'm playing dominoes, me, Trey D, Goldie, a few other folks, house full of folks, and Me Rollin studio, and they're playing that album. And so when the song came on, I'm like, I did not want to hear my part. So when you're doing everybody else's part, everybody doing everybody's part, but my part came in, I shut up, but everybody knew it, and it sounded different to hear other people do it because they always make fun of my voice. So that was cool. After that, I was like, all right, well, we're gonna. I can't erase it now. It's on there, but yeah, it was big for me to be on the Eastside's album. Period. Just I've never not appreciated every opportunity I get to work with people who I'm really a fan of. Because that's how I started hip hop. I'm a fan of it. You know what I mean? When I got into it, my biggest thing was I can't believe all the people I'm getting to meet. Not just from the West Coast, but from the East Coast, from the South. I really enjoy being in the industry itself. So, yeah.
And I have to ask, man, do you ever think there'll be any more music that you're going to be bringing out or anything like that?
Yeah, I had begun something before I got really sick and my lungs collapsed on me. But now, like right now, I'm sick, I have pneumonia. But my lungs are healing still. I had recorded a lot of stuff, some stuff, before I gone to the hospital and got sick and so on. So I'm going to record a few more, and I'll be dropping that with my guy, K-Tone, for a company that we came up with. But after that, I'm fairly certain this will absolutely be my last project. Not because, rap just took more of a backseat in my life. I got much more into writing other things, and so, which is what I was doing prior to music. So, my interest is probably more there. But I would like to finish this project and get it out, and not just get it out, but have it, part of the repertoire, kind of a beginning into the industry and then an exit from it. But I don't suggest anyone think of it in the context of the first album. It won't sound anything like that because, what it will sound like, in my opinion, vintage West Coast. I'm not trying to be. I write a lot of positive things and post them on Facebook and IG and that kind of thing. A lot of, try to be encouraging things and philosophical things, but none of that will be on the album. As far as I'm concerned, CPO, Boss Hogg, and Vince Edwards are two different entities. CPO, Boss Hogg he does gangster rap. That's what he does. And every now and then, it's a little more adult now, but it's still got it's gangster feel. It's still got its raunchiness. But anyone that's looking for Tail and Black will not find that with this one. It's a progression of an individual. It's not. I think I was stumbling more over things and trying to find my direction on the first album, but now I think I always knew my direction was going to be toward, the criminalistic side of it, and just the raw raunchiness of, ghetto life, and that's pretty much what this one is. So.
And also, you are the founder of your own record label called Brim Entertainment Group LLC. What made you decide to create your own record label, and who is currently signed?
It's not Brim. It's called Tilted Brim.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's not. That's the company I was talking about with me and my guy K-Tone. It's called Tilted Brim Entertainment Group, and it's when I was initially beginning until before I got sick and a lot of other strange mishaps. But that's what the album will come out on, Tilted Brim Entertainment LLC. And the reason we started our own was because, it's just a time of independence. There's no reason to be connected to some major company or anything like that. I mean, you really have to look at it from the mentality of if you can do it, I can do it. And we've already proven that about 1,000 times over. Just different people in general. So you don't always need to piggyback on anybody. I've been around the business long enough to know how to, advertise. If I want to deal with advertising companies, that's cool. But to be signed to somebody saying, well, you're obligated, I'm not obligated to do shit, but do me. And that's basically what you learn dealing with probably one of the most cutthroat businesses in the world. You really learn to be, I'll put it to you this way, your own boss. So.
And that's the best way to do it, is being your own boss. You don't have to take orders from nobody. You don't have to worry about anyone stealing your shit. It's all yours, right down
Correct.
to a T.
How can I call myself boss when somebody gets boss to me? It does not work. So,
And that's actually my next question, man. So it's actually pretty cool you brought that up. So your most recent album, I believe it came out in 2018. It's called iBoss. What's the story behind that record, and where can our listeners actually buy a copy?
That's just it. iBoss was the album it never came out. It was the album that was going to come out, and then I got sick. So we didn't release the album when I was doing at that. Excuse me. We were going to release the album, but what happened was, as a result of that, I let out a few singles from it. I let out a single called Day Boogie, which is me and my guy Chill from CMW. I let out a song called Your Body Is Hot, which Chill also co-produced with me, or produced with me. And then Super Gangster, which my brother Boki did a track to, and that was me and Slip the Phone. Rest in peace. And that's somebody I really wish were still here, just period. Not just for his incredible talent, but just one of the coolest people you ever wanted to meet. And I always wanted to do another song with him after we did Eulogy together. And so we finally got an opportunity to hook up again 15 years after, because when we did the Eulogy, he was only 15. And so when he turned 30, we did this other album together. And so that was huge for me to be able to do that song with him. And it was funny because I had come up with this name for a song called Super Gangster, having no idea he had a song called Super Gangster and an album called Super Gangster. That was completely coincidental. And so that's what we called it. So I let those singles out, and unfortunately, the album didn't come out. So people were, like, where can you find it? You can't find it. It's not out yet. But the last album I released will be that album.
That's actually pretty cool. Do you have like an idea of when you're gonna drop it or anything like that, or is it the release date still up in the air?
I'll put it this way: I've had so many doggone things, so many irons and fires. It's just been difficult to kind of concentrate on one and one alone, because the problem with a company that's a fledgling company is you do a lot of things by yourself, and so many things started coming into play after we decided to do this, because that's why it's not called a record company. It's an entertainment company. So it's not just one project happening. It's multiple things happening, and they're all coming out of one head. So when that head gets, well, I won't say one head, but K-Tone is certainly there, but a lot of the creativity and stuff of it is coming from me, and I'm trying. It's so much erratic thought. I need to get myself organized, and all that in the midst of being in ICU multiple times throughout the last few years. So it's been hectic, but I really want to get it out in 2020. Obviously, it won't be coming out in 2019, so I really want to get it out next year. That will be my focus, to get it out in 2020.
Good year,
perfect. The other one is 1990. Might as well put it out exactly 30 years later. So
it's the best way to do it. And I do want to say quickly, I do actually want to say I really do hope that you get better really soon. So it's not always it's not good just hearing that you're sick and whatnot, man. I really do hope you get better.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I have every intention of it. I got 2 months to do. So, but thank you very much for saying so. I really appreciate that.
You are most certainly welcome. And as you brought up, you work with the Chill. That's my next question. I saw on Instagram there was a link to that new track that you dropped with the Chill. I have to ask, where can our listeners buy that track?
What kind of what?
Oh, sorry. There was a link in your Instagram profile bio for a song that you did with the Chill. I was just wondering, could you let our listeners know where they can actually go out and buy that single?
Oh, well, that single and Your Body Is Hot and Super Gangster, they're all available on, I think Apple has them. I put it this way, I know CD Baby has it, and other than CD Baby, probably a few other of those sites. I'm fairly certain Apple has it. I know that Amazon thing has it. It's been on Spotify, some different ones. So, but I know for a fact it's available on CD Baby.
So I have to ask CPO, what's next for you?
Literally, what I want to do for me is I have at least 1 or 2 books I want to put out. Aside from that, I'm very interested in doing voiceovers. So, I'm as a matter of fact, one of the reasons I'm doing some of the reciting of some of the things that I'm writing, and that's another one of the bases behind putting the album out, is to put my voice back sort of on the circuit and see what I can do about getting that into voiceovers and so on and so forth. Aside from that, like I said, the books, I have a line of apparel coming out from CPO and Tilted Brim and also Vince Edwards. So it's kind of a conglomerate of things, to be honest with you.
Alright, so CPO, this is the time in the interview that I give the individual that comes on my show, a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, and also their social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you on all social media platforms if they're not already doing that.
Okay. Well, let's see. Facebook, Don't Live with CPO, Live with Vince Edwards. On IG, it's at CPO Balls Hog. It's also at Vince Edwards 9 on Twitter, even though I don't go to Twitter that often. As far as shout-outs concerned, I will absolutely get hurt from people because there's too many to remember. But my daughter Mickey and my homegirl C-Note, that's my best friend actually, my guy, the narrator RBX, Eric Miller, Grant Moten, David Houston, Winona Carter, with Game Door Clothing, and oh man, let's see, who? Alex Selig, and my publicist Chad Kaiser, and aside from my guy K Tone, never can forget K Tone. That's my boy. We've been rolling from this hood beyond since forever. So, I will say to please look out for that final project, musical project from Tilted Brim Entertainment, hopefully coming in 2020. At this point, the working title is iBoss, but I may alter that between now and then. I don't know. But I do want to say thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate you inviting me onto it. To even be acknowledged at this point is really, I'm very, very appreciative of that. Oh, my guy PDBG from IG, gotta say what's up to him. That's my G. So, off the top of my head, that's pretty much what I can think about. I'm sure I'll get wrapped in the mouth of a lot of people in a minute for not saying who they are. But other than that, hey.
Hey, well, you're a busy guy. You know what I mean? You've like you said during the interview, you met a lot of people, big. Met a lot of people, man. And I do want to say, CPO, you are most certainly welcome. I've been a fan of yours for a very, very long time. So it's truthfully, the pleasure's all mine, man. I want to say thank you so much for just coming on my platform and just providing me with your time. It is an absolute honor.
The honor has definitely been mine, I assure you.
All right, you have yourself a wonderful night, CPO, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Same to you, man. Thanks a lot.
You have yourself a wonderful night, man.